story is this. And when I tell you these stories here today, hopefully you can relate. And that's the reason I'm telling you these stories, because I think you're going to be able to relate to this. But way back in August of 1990 is when I was first introduced to this opportunity. It was back in August of 1990. I got a phone call at my house. It was 10:30 at night on a Sunday night. And my best friend, Pat Hintz, called me up, and he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to bed. What do you want?" And he said, "Just wait. I want to show you something." And he hung up on me. And I remember like it was yesterday. I turned to my wife, Colleen, and I said, "You know, Kyle, if it's important enough for Pat to call me at 10:30 at night on a Sunday, it's at least important enough for me to listen to what he has to say." And I'm guessing that's why all of you guys are in the room. Because at one point, somebody said to you, "Would you just come and look? I don't care if you do it or not, just come and look." Well, Pat came over to my house, and I remember he showed me on a bad photocopy of what he thought was supposed to happen with this company. Guys, we didn't have any PowerPoint presentations. I don't even think the internet was invented back then, right? There was no business presentation. What Pat had was a bad photocopy of the compensation plan. And I remember we looked at the numbers on that plan and we said, "Well, I think it works this way." And Pat grabbed it and he said, "No, I think it works this way." And we talked for about 2.5 hours that night, trying to figure out why it won't work. And Colleen came out of a bedroom 2 hours later, and she said, "You know, guys, I've been listening to you now for the last 2 hours." She said, "For $400, what if it works?" And my friend Pat and I just looked at each other with a blank look on our face, and we didn't have an answer for Colleen because we were trying to find reasons not to do it. Guys, that's the negative world that we live in. Most people will try to find reasons why this business won't work for them, as opposed to finding reasons that it will work. Well, we decided that this thing just might work. But before we decided to get involved, we had to check this company out. We had to make sure it was right, it was ready, it was real. It was like, come on, we had credibility. As pitifully little as we had, we wanted to keep it. Okay? Well, we didn't know the first thing about checking out a company. So the next day, now all of you school teachers in the room, I called in sick. All right, this was Monday morning, I called in sick. Pat came over to my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we were on our way to a Denny's restaurant to talk a little bit more about, at the time, it was called Excel Communications. We were on our way to a Denny's restaurant to talk a little bit more about Excel. Well, on our way to this restaurant, we noticed that right outside the restaurant was a payphone. So we pulled up to the payphone, we dialed the 800 number that was on the bottom of this bad photocopied sheet. A young lady answered, "Good morning, Excel Communications." We hung up and went, "They're there, let's go make some money." So that's how we checked it out. That's how we checked out the company, okay? Well, later that day, we called our sponsor, okay? We called our sponsor, the gentleman who introduced it to us, and we said, "Now, Mike, we've got some questions for you. Can you meet us for lunch?" And so Mike came over and he met us for lunch, and we said, "Now, Mike, how's the service? Is the service any good? Can you hear? Is it crackly? Is it just like AT&T, MCI, Sprint?" And he looked at us and he goes, "Well, I'm not quite on the service yet." We're like, "That's okay. You're brand new. You're just getting started." We said, "Mike, do you know of anybody who's actually using the service today?" And Mike looks at us and he goes, No, I don't know anybody." I said, "Well, okay, well, how about people that are making money? Do you know of anybody who's gotten a check from Excel yet?" And he looked at me and he goes, No, I don't know anybody." So he's not on the service. He doesn't know anybody who's on the service. He hasn't gotten a check. Doesn't know anybody who's gotten a check. And Pat and I sort of looked at him and we said, "Well, that's okay, because we're going to do it anyways." And Mike looked at us and he goes, "You are? Well, me too then." You guys, he wasn't even in yet, okay? And I know this is what happened because he told us later. He called the guy who introduced it to him, a friend of him, of his who lived in Green Bay, and he said, hey, listen, we got a couple of live ones in Milwaukee. We better get in this thing just in case these guys decide to do something with it. Wow. And that was a pretty good decision on Mike's part. Wow. Guys, from that day forward, it has been an unbelievable journey. Hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. It has been worth it. The journey has been worth it.